Take control of your life now and in future. Rewire your brain in 5 easy steps. This is a part of the Stress-Free Living series. It's interesting what neuroscience says. Dr. Robert Scare explains how the human brain is operated by our survival instincts. Survival instincts are, as we all know, fight, flight, or freeze. We'll see how that affects us. So the control of how the human brain is operated is affected by those reactions, fight, flight, or freeze. And this happens to all of us all the time without even realizing it. The problem is, though, that when the defense mechanisms are triggered, what follows is out of our control and even out of our awareness. So we can't do anything about it. So why is that important? Let's see. Neuroscience and stress. What neuroscience tells us about how our brains function is as follows. Let us look at these images of the brain. Let us look at the left one, logical brain. Look at the size of this brain. It's basically, it's the content of this brain fills up most of your head, most of your skull. So that's the size of your brain. Now, can you see the red arrow coming out, pointing at this purple part? This purple part, which is your emotional brain, is situated in this little circle here inside the larger brain. It's a component of the brain. And in an emotional dangerous situation or anything that's perceived as danger, all of this big brain is cancelled out and all the blood is pumped into this tiny small brain because it is perceived that how to manage dangerous situation. So all the blood and the resources in your body and brain are injected into this small part on your right here, and the rest of the brain is starved because it's seen as that's not important. It's not important to make a mortgage decision or a school decision or an everyday decision. What's important is to tackle the danger I'm in right now. Now, the logical brain gets almost shut down to enable the emotional brain to take over and deal with the danger. So what is the problem? When our brain interprets our life experiences as threatening or dangerous, instructions are issued for the emergency brain or the emotional brain to take over because it's capable of preserving our lives through techniques of fight, flight, or freeze. So we either fight the danger, run from the danger, or freeze in our spot to avoid the danger. That's all great, but there's a problem. The problem is that as soon as this happens, that automatically deactivates or disables our logical brain capacity, and that brain is much bigger than the emergency brain or the emotional brain, and it's also much more capable. In fact, it's the only one that's capable of dealing with everyday living. So we're now operating with basically our hands tied back behind our backs because like almost 80% of our brain is deactivated because we're perceiving danger, and that danger might be there or it might not be there. So what else is the problem? Another instruction is issued to the body to enable the body to collaborate with the emergency brain as follows. Most of the blood gets pumped to the emergency brain, thus starving the logical brain. Cortisol and adrenaline are pumped into the body to enable us to behave in a superhuman capacity, as seen in an accident or heroic acts in the army. This is an amazing human capacity if in real danger, but the hormones produced can also destroy body organs if the body is subjected to these hormones repeatedly and also unnecessarily. So what else is the problem? If there's a life or death threatening situation, then all these mechanisms are brilliant because these, as described before, can save our lives. However, if the danger is perceived and not real, or if the danger is not life-threatening, like, for example, my boss is bothering me, or I had a row with my husband or wife, then that's not going to help. If this misreading of life situations or exaggerating in interpreting the danger carries on, then this process keeps repeating and becomes a chronic situation. So what's the problem? Repetition of this emergency process causes a reduction in the size of the logical brain and a reduction in its capacity. Like anything in your body, if you don't use a muscle, it fades away and weakens. So again, your brain is picking up that you don't need the rational brain that much, so it's going to cancel itself out gradually and increase the capacity of the emergency brain. So when you need to use the rational brain, it's not going to even be available. It also makes the brain get used to almost always selecting and categorizing life experiences as emergency, and hence the likelihood of identifying situations in future as dangerous becomes almost automatic. Like your brain picks up that as a rule, you tend to have more emergencies than normal situations. So you need your emergency brain more. So then it doesn't like stop and think that much about is this an emergency or not. It jumps to emergency anyway because it's used to you selecting emergency most of the time. That has its impact. Our resources get taken up by an imaginary danger, and we move further and further away from the life we dream of. So what can the solution be? If we're anxious and if we therefore perceive daily situations as dangerous, this creates a chronic problem. It causes the wrong part of the brain to be managing what it cannot handle. This causes us to underperform and possibly fail in spite of being capable. When this repeats, the situation becomes chronic and habitual. That becomes our normal. We start to doubt ourselves or think of bad luck or a jinx or people are against me or I'm not being valued because we don't know what is causing the problem. So what can the solution be? This situation, the repetition of the problem, ties us into a vicious circle and recreates failure or disappointment or both. After our brain selects the wrong part to deal with the perceived danger, it's quite hard to change that decision. The initial decision the brain takes is followed by hundreds of brain and body actions that automatically kick off. If only we could discover the undo button each time our brain makes the wrong selection, we could put things right. This could stop the unbearable pressure on our brains and bodies and save us from mental and physical illness. So let's balance the losses against the gains. Taking control allows you to take mastery over health, happiness and fulfillment, success, relationships and friendships, quality of life, peace of mind, enjoyment and satisfaction, clear thinking. By taking control, that becomes your new automated pattern, your happy pattern, your fulfilled one, effortlessly. So is there an undo button to correct things from? Where is that button? If this process that we described is hard to avoid in the first place, the decision is taken too quickly and automatically, no time to think. If we're bound to have our brain select emergency based on the wrong information, what's the way forward? Is there an undo button to deselect the wrong selection and correct it? Let's see. I'm so pleased to say there is an undo button. You can correct your route if you take a wrong turning if you're driving, but gradually this will become your new normal when you learn repeatedly to make corrections. Then you just go for the correct solution without going to the wrong one first. It becomes your new normal. Enjoy your life then and feel relaxed and manage daily problems, but in your stride and on your healthy terms, because you deserve the best. Let us show you how to do that.